Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Anya and today I'm going to be sharing with you my 37-week pregnancy update. So this week was pretty eventful in all other areas of, not pregnancy wise, but it was also eventful in terms of my pregnancy. Number one, I'm super excited to have now reached 37 weeks of pregnancy because, as I mentioned last week, the doctor did say that after 37 weeks, the baby is now considered full term. So if she were to come any earlier than the 40-week mark, this would be considered full term. I did read in my app that they do require a little bit more help, maybe some assistance that wouldn't be necessary otherwise if they were to reach the full 40 weeks. But in terms of actual chances of survival and thriving, everything's good to go now that we're at the 37-week mark. So I'm very, very happy to hear that. So in terms of non-pregnancy related updates that really do affect the way I'm feeling pregnancy wise, I completed my course of the summer for my summer class and I ended up with a A- in the class overall. I also completed my chapter 2 assignment of the dissertation that I'm working on, and I'm so happy to have that done and have that behind me. Actually, it's not really behind me because I still have a year and a half to go to, get my full-blown dissertation done. And I'm sure there's going to be tweaking here and there to get that all under control and, truly refined. But at this point, at least, that assignment, which was the biggest thing that I had to do this summer for my schooling, is done. And that meant that it was very, very stressful. I had to dedicate a lot of hours to doing a lot of research in the areas that I want to write my own research in, and I had to write about that research. It was just a complete and total time suck. And even though I'm very excited to have picked the actual topic that I did, and now I realize I love it even more than I felt I did when I originally picked it, I really, it was just a huge strain on my life, especially this late in the game in my pregnancy. And so this assignment was actually due on Saturday, and I ended up going to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get it done. Not successful getting it done on time. I emailed my professor and said, this is what I've got so far. I will get back to you tomorrow with the completed assignment. I promise. And so that's exactly what I did. So Sunday came around, and even though I was on 4 hours of sleep between nap time for Sebastian and eventually bedtime that night, on Sunday I completed the whole assignment. And I'm so relieved it's done. On Wednesday I received my grades, and I am huge weight off my shoulders. Now I just have to wait to the fall semester, which is actually right around the time I'm going to be delivering my new baby, and that's going to be a whole new game with all of that stuff. But I feel like because I was spending so much time worrying about that, now that it's a huge weight off my shoulders, I feel like I can rest easier. But at the same time, because I spent a few days there where I got really, really poor sleep, it did take a toll on me physically as well. So I was very tired, I was very lethargic, I was kind of on edge. And I did mention in my last couple of updates that emotionally speaking I haven't been all there, so that definitely contributed to not feeling up to my best when it came to my emotions as well. But I'm happy to report it's over. I'm happy to report that it all turned out great. I passed my class, I did great. I got a really good grade with my chapter 2, and I can't ask for more. So I mentioned to you in my last update that the doctor told me I should be going back this week for an ultrasound and a follow-up with her as well. They just wanted to double check and make sure that the baby was doing good, that there's still enough amniotic fluid for her to be able to be in there comfortably. And I did. I went in for the ultrasound, and the tech brought me into the room and she says, "You're having twins?" So I was like, ah, it was an involuntary reaction. I actually just said it out loud. I'm like, ah, because people do say that my belly is quite large, and so that just added salt to a wound. And immediately she said, no, I am not saying it because your belly looks big. I'm saying it because in your chart it says multiples. And I was like, what? But then she was like, no, it just might mean that, you know, this one is like your second one, that it's not your first, because my son actually had come with me to the appointment with my husband. So I don't even know what that was all about, but I did ask her, could you double check and make sure that you have my right chart, like my name is the one that you're looking at? And she did, and she said that it was fine, that it was not related to me having twins. She performed the ultrasound and confirmed that yes, there's only one in there. And she said the baby was doing great. Her heartbeat was at 163, which honestly was a little bit higher than I was expecting, because over these last couple of weeks it's been up in the around 140s. But she said everything was doing great, that she was doing fine, and that there's enough amniotic fluid, that she's comfortable, she's moving around, she's doing good, and that she scored an 8 out of 8. I'm not sure what else it is that they were looking for, but we got an A. So I got a good grade in my class, she's got a good grade in her ultrasound, and we're all good. So I definitely cannot wear pajama bottoms anymore. I am done with my pajama bottoms. I cannot stand sleeping with them, so I completely eliminated even trying. I'm just wearing a top for now, because I feel like the bottoms definitely constrict my hip area, or my actual like the bottom of my belly area, and that's definitely something new. I did not experience that with Sebastian. I think it's because I'm carrying the belly a lot lower this time around, and so there's a lot of pressure down there if I were to put something with a band that really goes around my waist. So no more pajama bottoms. So on Tuesday I actually went to the chiropractor again, and it was so funny because I laid down on the table and she started working on my round ligaments, which is definitely an area that has given me a lot of issues in this pregnancy. At the beginning, when I was sneezing, and I mean I didn't even have a belly yet, and I would go, like, the pain would be intense in that round ligament area even when I just sneezed. And it wasn't like it was a regular occurrence. It was just because I had become pregnant, and it was so weird. But anyway, now that we're later in the game, sometimes if I get up too quick and start walking right away, you know, the days that I can actually do that, because sometimes I just absolutely can't. Like, my body just, you know, as soon as I get up, I need to stop, assess, and then start walking. But the round ligament area is where I do experience some pain, and she was working on that, and the baby just poked her leg out of my side. Like, it was insane. She called the other chiropractor in and was like, oh my god, you need to look at this. This is like alien baby type of style, you know, movie. It was so crazy. And then that same afternoon I had my follow-up appointment with the OBGYN. And in that appointment, they gave me an NST, which is a non-stress test for the baby. What they do is that they put just this band across my belly, and they monitor the baby's heartbeat. They monitor how many times she moves, and I'm also supposed to press on a button every single time I feel her move, so that they can track the heart rate according to the times that they move. So in the midst of all of that, it was the weirdest thing again. I was laying flat on my back, and I had like something poking out on my right side, something poking out on my left side, and then there's like a huge stretch up towards my belly button. And the tech that was helping me out with all of this began to call all her friends to come inside the actual room to like see the situation as well. It was So interesting, so weird. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, is she like super just stretching out in there, like look at me, I'm so comfortable in here. The good thing is that I feel she's got enough room for sure. This week I was weighing at 155.6 pounds and my blood pressure was at 110/60, which again is normal for me. One of the other things that happened that I was definitely not expecting was that she did send me in for blood work right then and there. I don't know specifically what it is that they look for at this stage of the game, but she said this would be my last round of blood work. I don't remember having had blood work this late in the game with Sebastian's pregnancy. But the other thing that the doctor mentioned is that I will be going back every single week to get an ultrasound and then get a follow-up with her to get the results of that ultrasound and discuss the progress. So she did mention that throughout the rest of the pregnancy now, we do want to make sure that amniotic fluid is still available for the baby and then take appropriate measures if that is not the case. So I am complying and I'm moving forward with that. But one of the things that I am a little bit iffy about is that she did mention we would start doing kind of like internal testing. And basically that means that there, you know, she's gonna internally check how much I'm dilated, if I am dilated. And that is something that makes me really nervous based on everything that I went through with my first pregnancy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I invite you to go see my labor and delivery story. So I did explain all of that to her and she was very, very nice about it. She said, you know, I don't want to force something on you that you do not want to do. But I then told her, you know, if you tell me that's what I need to do to get my baby healthy, to like, you know, make sure that everything is fine with her, then absolutely, you know, no matter what I need to go through, my top priority is having my baby fine. And if I have to go through any extra pain or discomfort, then I come second. I am definitely aware that 100% she's the one that needs to be in the best case possible to have a successful delivery and everything has a happy ending. So I want to make sure that that happens. And so I did tell her, you know, in the event that you feel this is absolutely necessary, then I 100% will comply. She wasn't concerned about it though, because she said that in the monitor when they were doing the NST, I didn't experience any contractions. And I did tell her, yes, I definitely haven't experienced anything like or near being a contraction. I remember how painful those contractions were. So I definitely know for sure that this time around I haven't experienced any contracting whatsoever. And she was perfectly fine with that. You know, I haven't had any bleeding, I haven't had any pain, and you know, she said, okay, we can definitely hold off on giving the internal test, which I'm sure has a specific name, but if you're a mom, you know what I'm talking about. So next week I'm gonna actually be going back and getting tested for group B strep. With my first pregnancy, I was actually positive. With this pregnancy, it may or may not be the case. It doesn't really mean when you have it with the first one that you will have it continuously going forward. And so I'm hoping that I don't have it with this pregnancy. And what it meant was that I immediately after having had my water break, I had to go to the hospital so that they can get some antibiotics in my IV and the baby wouldn't be at risk when I delivered him. This time around, if I am not positive for group B strep, I would be able to labor as much at home as I could and then go to the hospital to actually deliver the baby. That would be best case scenario for me, even though I definitely want to play it safe. I don't want to stay at home way too long and then risk having my baby either here or on my way to the hospital. But at the same time, I don't want to risk what happened to me last time to happen again, which was, you know, just not being counted on for getting all these medicines and all of these other interventions that were really not necessary with the amount of time that I was there. I definitely invite you to go check my labor and delivery story because this will make a lot more sense to you. So the rest of the week has been, you know, kind of strenuous. I'm prepping to make sure that I'm ready to leave work for a few months and not be missed. So I'm definitely putting in the amount of time and some to make sure that that happens. And so that has been taking a toll on my actual how should I say this, energy. And it's just been pretty interesting. But the good part about this is that this week I actually was able to get a cleaning service to come in and clean absolutely everything in my house. They did a really good job with the cleaning, I must say, and I am having them come back right before I deliver the baby. Hopefully, you know, I scheduled them to come in 2 weeks time. Hopefully the baby won't come any, you know, before then, but my plan is to have everything spick and span by the time the baby does arrive. This was definitely a topic that I was really up and down on for so long, because I don't know if this happens to you, but there is kind of like a shame associated with getting extra help, or even admitting that you need the help. And 100% at this point, I'm like, anybody could think whatever they want to think, but I really do need that extra help. And you know, fortunately we do have the means to be able to get that extra help, and we were able to actually say, hey would you come and clean my house? And so I called this cleaning service. They were great. They came in. It was 3 individuals. They did a really nice job doing absolutely everything that I requested and some. And they're gonna come back in 2 weeks and keep it up so that when the baby arrives, everything looks great. I'm so relieved to have that done. Last night though, I went to sleep and I actually had spaghetti for dinner. And it was not a good idea. It was not a good idea at all. I actually had to sleep propped up for the first like 3 hours because it would, like, the heartburn was serious. I started experiencing actual like chest tightening, kind of chest pain type of feelings, which of course is not good at any time, but it's definitely not good for a pregnant mama that's so far along and thinking like, is this heartburn or is this an actual heart attack that's gonna kill me and leave me, you know, without my children? I know it's super dramatic, but that's kind of where your mind goes when you're thinking about this at like 2 o'clock in the morning and you cannot seem to sleep. So I definitely will not be doing that going forward, at least for the next 3 weeks. And then this morning I woke up and I told my husband, you know, it's really tough, because I don't want to complain. I don't want to be the type of person that is complaining about an actual blessing. But let me tell you, I am, at least right now, this week, today, this moment, over it. I am done with this pregnancy. I want to be, you know, I want to have my baby in my arms. I just want to feel myself again. I don't want her to come any earlier than she needs to be at 100%. Don't get me wrong, like if I have to again go through the next few weeks being uncomfortable and in pain, I'm fine with it as long as she's fine. But I must be honest with you when I say that I am sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And you know, it takes a toll. It really does take a toll on me physically. It's taken a toll on me emotionally, as you know, and it's really hard. It's really hard. When I say those things though, I do think about the women that have it so much harder than I do. And I know what you're thinking, you know, like everybody's entitled to their own pain, right, and feeling it. But I can't help to think, like, what the heck am I complaining about? Like, everything is absolutely fine. My baby's healthy, I'm fine, and like, suck it up and move on. One of the other interesting things that happened this week is that we finally decided to go ahead and transition Sebastian into a big bed. And so we're kind of toying with the idea of maybe going twin size or going full-blown full-size bed for him. And you know, it's very interesting because a lot of people do transition into a little toddler bed, but we figured, you know, let's just skip a bunch of steps in between and go straight for what it is he's going to have in the long run, and you know, make him comfortable there before the baby arrives. And this was actually at the suggestion of my sister. you know, make him feel like this was all about him, not necessarily just because his sister is now here that he has to readjust to all of these new changes. So more on that coming up soon. We still haven't bought the bed. I did buy some bedding earlier in the week, but I think it may not be what we need to get for the type of style room that we want to have him in. Essentially, the end of it is that we want him to feel comfortable and that he's a big deal and that he's, you know, great, that we're doing things for him because we love him, and not like, okay, now we're taking your crib away because we have to give it to, you know, this other girl who just got here. So I mean, eventually I know he will understand that, but for right now, when he's only 20 months old, I don't want him to get the sense that, hey, you know what, I didn't even do anything wrong and now all of a sudden I'm left without a bed because I have to give my bed to her. So I don't even know if that's something that will run through his mind, but if it were to, I would be really sad about it. So I want to make sure to take the proper measures to make sure that he doesn't think that way. I want him to be excited about his room. I want him to go in there and be like, wow, I'm a big boy now, I can do all these things, and you know, all that, before we actually have the other like huge change of adding a sibling to the mix. This of course means that our timeline is really tight. I'm 37 weeks pregnant and he came over a week early. So, you know, right now it's kind of like game time, crunch time, whatever time you want to call it, that is like right before the finish line. And you know, we'll see if we actually make it in time to get all of that done. I'm going to try and make sure it does happen, but things happen, I'll keep you updated. So that was a lot on how my week has gone. I want to tell you a little bit more about the baby's development overall. So essentially, I've read through my app and it does say that the baby has reached basically the, you know, size that they're going to be at birth. Now the only thing that's going on is that they're getting some baby fat, and you know, I feel like that has actually been the case the last few weeks. But of course, the last few weeks we've been talking about more development in the different organs that are very vital to their health. Now it's not so much that anymore. Now she's the size of a honeydew lemon. I do feel like I'm actually carrying around a watermelon in my belly, especially when I have to turn from side to side in the middle of the night. But now she's not really growing so much, than actually just gaining weight and getting some fat in her body. And as far as mom, which I actually did not read through, I'm gonna look through it now. It says baby may still be packing on a little weight, but you've probably reached as big as you're gonna get. Hallelujah. The due date just keeps approaching more rapidly, so definitely make sure that you have everything in order for your trip to the hospital. I definitely need to do that. I actually did not get my bag ready when I was due with Sebastian either. I got it ready the morning of, like when my water broke. I don't want that to happen to me again, so I want to get that ready and done. I will probably most likely either do it today or tomorrow. This especially means that you have a safe, secure infant car seat that you're sure is properly installed. Again, this was something that the last time around didn't actually happen until we were, you know, the morning of. I remember like my water broke and I sat down to have some cereal because I knew I wasn't gonna get any food at the hospital, and Santiago went outside to install the car seat. You might start to notice new stretch marks in different places as your uterus and feet and maybe everywhere else is reaching its largest point. Okay, I don't know that this was written like properly, but what they do mean is that my uterus has reached like the largest is going to get, and stretch marks are a thing, of course. Now I am very blessed that I do not have any stretch marks. My lotion, my DIY lotion that I actually make myself, ran out a few days ago, and I'm still waiting on my almond oil to come in through Amazon, so I haven't replenished that, and I haven't been putting on my lotion every night, but I still haven't seen any stretch marks whatsoever, and I really kept on top of that every single day throughout my pregnancy, so I don't anticipate that that will be a problem. Now the other side of that is that, you know, stretch marks are like genetic thing as well. My sister didn't have any. My oldest sister did have plenty, but I think that, you know, it's definitely a individual thing as well. I can't only attribute it to, oh, like my magic lotion. I mean, I think it helps. I don't think there's any harm in actually doing that, but at the same time, I cannot give it full credit. Your cervix is probably beginning to dilate and get thinner as it prepares to pass baby through. So this is definitely something that they want to check in with, that whole internal exam that I am so against, unless necessary. So that actually completes my 37-week pregnancy update. I cannot believe that we're already here. It's actually a weight off my shoulders as well to have reached 37 weeks, when the doctor did tell me that after 37 weeks I'm considered full term, because you know, regardless of what was going on before this point, I definitely wanted to make sure that I arrived and I wasn't in a position where I had to worry about having a premature baby. So having reached 37 weeks means that I can now rest easy a little bit, and then now just worry, taking it one day at a time. It's kind of crazy to know though that in a week and 3 days is the amount of time that I actually had delivered Sebastian the last time. And to think right now where I am right now, that potentially in a week and 3 days I can have my baby in my arms, is a little bit nuts and scary and amazing all at the same time. I mean, I'm so excited to meet her, and at the same time, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. I pray for the best. I definitely pray for the best. I want to be a good mom to her. I want to be an example to her and Sebastian. I want to do everything right to make them comfortable, and let's see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. If you're pregnant, I would love it if you would tell me in the comment section below how far along you are, what symptoms you've been experiencing, and we can start a conversation there. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, I need to show you my belly. So here's my 37-week belly in its full glory.